pooping while high, pooping while drunk, pooping while hungry, pooping smoking a cigarette.
Welcome back. That's your intro. That's what you deserve.
Oh, that was okay.
What are you eating over there?
Coffee. I'm eating it
Bullshit.
right out of the can.
Well, that's an addict.
Oh man, I was getting really bad on coffee after I got out of rehab. I had to get some legal way that I figured wasn't as bad as opiates. So I kept drinking coffee like a motherfucker. And eventually one day I got cold chills. I was sweating. I turned pale. I was like about to pass out and shit. Like, all right, this has got to slow down.
That's pretty much me every day before I get coffee. And I don't like it.
I don't like it.
Well, why don't you die?
I will. Just be patient.
But I don't want to be patient.
What are we going to talk about?
Well, I was trying to say before you interrupted me, Marilyn Manson has a badly broken leg.
That is a funny fucking video.
Yeah. I remember... were we doing Pathfinder when I saw that?
I guess. I don't know.
I don't think you were there.
That's one of those videos. It could have been anybody and it would have been funny. But the fact that it was Marilyn Manson, I was crying, laughing.
Agreed.
Yeah, that was funny. Anyways.
Let's find another song. What do you think of crack being sold to babies?
It's probably not good.
But they like it.
I'm just saying. You know, it's probably not really something that they know what they're doing, and whichever adult is doing it, it's probably severely fucked up in the head. So,
but the babies say they like it.
But babies don't know. No.
Yes, we're so stupid we did a part 2 of this.
I just tell people that I can go from wholesome family man and put a smile on my face to hanging out with this asshole and put a smile on my face while we yell at each other.
Who's incapable of being wholesome family man.
Yeah, well, you would be if you had your own kid.
I'm capable. Well, I don't know. I know people who aren't capable of being wholesome family men, even though they have their own kid.
That's true. I do know those types too, and I don't get it because I
get it. Some people just aren't cut out for it.
Well, I used to think that about myself, and it took me a long time to grow up and mature into it. Whereas Holly, she just took to it. She's a natural.
I don't even think it's about so much maturation. Some people just fundamentally are not wholesome family people, and I try, and then I come out dead baby jokes.
I don't think that you're the type of person who, if your own kid ran up to you and called out for you and hugged you, that you would be able to not enjoy that. I mean, I would
probably make some caustic joke about condoms.
No, you wouldn't. I don't think you would.
Yes. Oh, well, yeah, but then hopefully my kid would understand. Oh, haha, Dad's being funny.
Not when they're 2.
I don't know, but I mean, I don't plan on having any kids anytime soon because I'm fundamentally not ready yet.
If you ever, I think men should wait until they're at least 32.
Could you imagine me spreading my diseased fucking genes? You're gonna have a legion of fucking sociopaths.
Well, considering the multiple billions of retards that live with us on this planet, yes, I can imagine it.
What do you believe, Tommy? I'm a Satanist.
I like Satan. Satan's cool.
What sort of music do you listen to, Tommy? Dissection.
Satanism.
Satan's host.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think, like I said, it just depends on the person. So, of course, I don't have to worry about having kids at the moment. So
That's good. Well, it's good for you.
I don't have to worry about anything.
I've learned to really enjoy. Like seriously, when I go see my daughter, it like recharges my batteries bigger than shit. And then, of course, I come home to talk on here and, go back to pushing the envelope with morbid humor and just yelling at people and each other. And I think it takes all kinds to make the world go round.
See, I would hope that, like, my kids grow up with a fascination for, Dad, what was that joke you told me when I was 2 about the corpses? That was fun.
Well, we'll see.
Well, so you see,
when they're 2, they don't get it. It's not like that. They literally don't get it when they're 2.
Well, yeah, but they don't get positive humor either.
They don't get anything. They just get, Daddy's funny looking. Or
yes,
I hit Daddy over the face with a wooden block. She did that to me, dude.
See, that's my time.
Okay, here's the story. I'll make it quick. I lay on the ground so that she can roughhouse with me. I get up and we roughhouse, and I get up and I sit on the couch, and she looks directly at me, points at me, and then points at the ground and says, "Lay down." So I do, and she roughhouses with me again, and then she disappears for a second. I didn't think anything of it, and I hear, "Stomp, stomp, stomp," and just pain shot through my face. She hit me like right on my eyebrow, and adrenaline surged. I was ready to fight a motherfucker, but then I was like, "No, 2-year-old.
God, you don't want me there, man. Because if I was there, you know how hard I'd be laughing.
Oh, I laughed after the adrenaline settled down. I think it's hilarious. Now, she thought it was fucking outrageously hilarious. She laughed right in my face over it.
Oh, see, it's that sort of thing I definitely foster. Yes, do more of that. Be evil.
Well, I mean, I kind of do foster it because I let her roughhouse on me. She was beating on me anyways. Like climbing on me and smacking me in the face and smacking my belly and stuff like that. It just so happened she decided this smacking with my hand thing's not quite satisfying enough. I need a wooden block.
You know what it is? I send out a thought channel to anyone. Hit Scott in the face with a wooden block.
I'm lucky she didn't hit me flush because it would have left an imprint of like a 2 or an A.
It's your new tattoo.
Yeah. Like have a permanent bruise that just looks like an engraved cute little tiger. Right on my fucking forehead. Just a cute little baby tiger.
I think she was trying to change your voice because it was so annoying. See how that worked out.
It did change my voice. It went from, "Oh, sweetie, to oh, blah, blah."
No, I mean permanently.
No, it didn't work.
Your voice is still annoying.
Oh, well.
Oh.
Oh. Just,
Oh.
Oh, my feelers.
What the hell? What, your feelers? You're a fucking snail.
Mm-hmm. Having feelers makes you stronger.
Oh, God, that again.
Snails are like nature's little steamrollers. They move along slowly.
And flattening everything in their midst, or they would if they were 80 feet tall.
Could you imagine what it would be like to see an 80-foot tall snail? Dude, if a bug was bigger, like if an ant, for example, was like the size of a dog, how fucking terrifying those things would be. Like, what would you do? I mean, it probably could tear a hole through your freaking brick house. Easily. It just like walk through it.
What about a flying bug the size of a Volkswagen?
That would be absolutely horrifying.
I would keep it.
It would be awesome, but it would be horrifying. Like
it even has an engine on the back of it.
You know, like our society would be like based around it. Like we'd almost worship them. And anytime you heard the off in the distance, everybody would tremble in fear and start bowing and offering sacrifices and shit.
To a Volkswagen Bug, literally.
And it would just be a bug, but everybody would be like, "It's God."
And then I would somehow surgically graft an engine to it, but I would make it so like they produce engines, so like they're fucking motor powered.
So when they fuck, they just give birth to engines. No.
I mean,
what?
Like, they give birth, but every newborn baby has an engine on it, a 4-cylinder VW engine.
A 4-cylinder. Yeah, well, it matches, so it just be
air cooled, of course, because the only real VWs are air cooled. Fuck that water cold shit.
Like it would work really well for a cricket because it would do the cricket thing, but with the 4-cylinder engine going cricket, ring, ring, ring.
Yes, it would be bugs the size of beetles, VW bugs, and they'd have air cooled engines on the back of them.
Like, can't an ant, like how much weight can an ant hold? It's like some obnoxious amount. Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
Ants can hold weight. I typed that into Google. Ants can hold weight.
That was the stupidest fucking.
It worked. It worked. According to different estimates, ants can carry 10 to 50 times their body weight.
But just think of all okay. So just think, Scott. You're walking along, right, enjoying the sunset. All of a sudden, and you see the fucking. No, Volkswagens don't sound like that. You fucking moron.
Yeah, but the bug would.
No, it'd be like. He'd be like, "What the hell? Oh my god!"
Yeah, but imagine imagine like a cicada. You know how loud those things are, right? Imagine how loud that would be if it was huge, like deafeningly loud. It would just be like rumbling everything around you just because it was making its noise.
Oh yeah,
I can't even fathom how loud that would be.
And then we put it, and then we graft an engine to it,
so that it could get around. You know, it has to get around.
I graft a Porsche 911 engine.
Yeah, just like a little flat 6.
Air cooled flat 6, because the only Porsche 911s are air cooled. Fuck water cooled.
Yeah,
they ruined the car when they went to water cooled.
I saw an interesting video last night about modern cars and the problems with modern cars being that they put way too much emphasis on like entertainment screens and cameras and shit like that they are not dedicated to updating for the term of the life of the car. So in 5 years' time, your fancy BMW with the infotainment screen is not going to update, and it's going to be a piece of crap. Like imagine buying a cell phone and it never updated. You know?
Oh, you mean like where the fuck is it? The phone I have here?
Yeah, any kind of phone that
it's 5 years old. I don't fucking update it. But I mean, so the point of it. So Porsche is a brand I really want to like, and I do like, but they've stabbed me in the heart so many times.
Porsche, I don't know. I get kind of bored with them because, I mean, I do and I don't get bored with them. I get bored with the 911. Yes, It's an amazing car. Yes, I respect it. But it's just a 911. You know, it's never going to change.
That's the point about the 911. It's dependable. I
understand that, and like I said, I respect it, but I get bored with it.
Porsche, they created an SUV, a Porsche SUV, the Cayenne.
Yeah.
Then they create the Panamera, which is a 911 that's too damn long because it's a 4-door and basically just it won't stop. It just
I saw that on Top Gear. They raced it. It looked ridiculous.
And now they have a Porsche crossover, the Pecan or whatever the fuck it's called.
Man, I saw an SUV that was worth $250,000 last night. It was a Bentley, and it weighs over 5,000 pounds, and it goes 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. Fuck.
Wow. But yeah, I mean, so Porsche has done some stupid things. But yeah, I don't know. There's just something about the 911 I like.
Now, they have some other sports cars that are absolutely incredible. What is the name of that fucking thing?
But I mean, the Porsche is the 911.
918 Spider. Those things.
Yeah.
Those things are ridiculous.
They're cool, but I don't know. There's just something with the 911 that it'll always be my kind of pick, just sentimental pick.
Well, then you like Hitler.
Yes. Hitler didn't know anything about the 911. You
I just love that Clarkson always goes there with that. Well, the 911 was based on the Volkswagen Beetle, and the Volkswagen Beetle was, he always fucks with Germans.
Here's an interesting fact for you, Scott. There is no such thing as the Volkswagen Beetle.
The people's car.
There is no such thing as a Volkswagen Beetle until they came out with the new Beetle, which is an Obama fucking nation. I think it's a Golf with a Beetle-like body. Anyway, the original Beetle, quote unquote, was called the Volkswagen Type 1, which is what I always call it, the Type 1. I never call it a Beetle.
Have you seen the newest of the new Beetles?
Yes.
They're like
they look like a fucking Beetle.
They don't look like a Beetle anymore. When they rebooted it back in the first couple of years, it looked like a Beetle still.
Yeah.
Now, though, it looks, I don't know how to describe it. It reminds me of like a surfer dude kind of car.
Yeah. It's a Golf, I think, underneath it.
I guarantee it.
I think it's a Volkswagen Golf underneath Volkswagen. Sorry. Golf underneath it.
Car companies always do that. They use the same platform over and over
sharing.
again.
As Leo Prant of Ford once said, we sold you the same car 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a Golf underneath it, and the body is. I just.
I'll defend something interesting that Top Gear used to do, but has done away with, is talk about the economy class.
Yeah.
And I saw a really interesting thing about the Ford Escort in Great Britain being nice car. Since the 70s, it was just the car. Like, if you lived in Great Britain, you either had one or you've been riding in one.
Yeah, and they made the Ford Escort Cosworth.
Yeah, Cosworth has some cool fucking cars, man.
But yeah, it's just interesting. I mean, all the kind of Ford RSs, the sort of kind of economy supercars. They finally delivered one to America, the Ford Focus RS, and I want that thing.
Yeah, I liked the Focus. They went from the, what is that? Why is that happening? Anyways, they went from the Ford Escort to the, what was it after the Escort? Ford Mondeo, is that what it was?
Well, it was the Mondeo, and there was also the Sierra as well.
Okay, yeah.
I love the Ford Sierra, and then the Mondeo. But I don't think they ever made a Mondeo RS though. It was the Sierra Cosworth, and I love the Ford Sierra.
Mondeo was pretty short-lived, wasn't it? It was only like 3 or 4 years.
They still make them.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. I think I remember them being pretty handsome little cars.
The Sierra over here was the Mercure. I think that's the closest it was.
You know what? American Ford little car I liked a lot is a Ford Tempo.
Nah.
I like that car.
I think British Ford can do the little cars better. Like here we had an American Escort. What the hell was that?
Well, the Tempo, I think, was closer to the spirit of the Escort.
Yeah, true.
And
But,
if I could find a Ford Tempo in good condition with low mileage or relatively low mileage, I think I'd buy it. I just like that car.
yeah.
But yeah, I wish there was more shows about cars that you and I will be buying instead
Well, there
of.
is. There's a show called Motor Week on, I don't know what channel it's on, but it's been on for fucking ages. It's really interesting, actually.
Now, I'm finding a lot of good shows on YouTube. Tons of good shows about that kind of shit.
Motor Week was on Speed Vision for a while. It was on Velocity last time I checked. I don't know what the fuck channel it's on now.
I don't have cable anymore, man. I just
It's
did
probably
away
on
with
YouTube. It's probably on YouTube.
I've been
You know what?
watching.
Here, I'll look for it.
I've been
I'll look
watching
for it right now.
old Top Gear. This guy named Doug DeMuro. A channel called Normal Cars, which is an excellent channel. There is just such good coverage on cars. I'm finding endless entertainment value out of it.
I've been watching races. I'm reading a biography about Enzo Ferrari.
That'd be an interesting thing.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, but yeah, I usually only like cars that, quote unquote, we can drive if they're racing versions of, like, touring car racing, which is like World Touring Car has Chevy Cruzes, Ladas, which is a Russian car, Ford Focuses, cars like that. But they're racing cars that make 380 horsepower.
Yes, and worth probably $1 million.
Maybe, I don't know, but I mean, or like rally cross cars or whatever.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I really like coverage of those out of touch cars, like a Rolls-Royce Phantom.
But
Fucking things are amazing.
My problem with normal cars is they're just, a lot of them are such appliance-like machines, and I don't like appliance.
Especially nowadays.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays, like this 2011 Cruise I just got. It feels like it is one of the last cars before they went all the way in on the let's make your car a fucking cell phone. You know? Like I still feel like I'm driving a car in this thing. But
I mean, even like Hyundais and Hondas they've always been appliances. That was their point. Their point is not to have a ride. It's supposed to get you from point A to point B with no fuss.
Yeah. Well, I don't find anything wrong with it.
Which is cute, but I don't know. It just doesn't hold my interest.
I think the more interesting things about those kind of cars isn't necessarily the car. It's the culture around the car and the corporate aspect, like how well they sold, how the marketing worked, that kind of shit is the more interesting aspect of those.
I have you know what? You're right. I have the appliance for you. You know, all this computer shit kind of annoys me.
Like in the car, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it annoys me too.
Well, I want you to look up a Ural sidecar. URAL sidecar.
URAL sidecar.
And this is what everything should be.
Oh, just a piece of mechanical motor.
Okay, so this is a motorcycle and sidecar design that dates back from 1946 or 47. It's based on, ripped off from a BMW design from the post-war years, and they've just never updated it.
That's awesome.
It sounds amazing. It looks amazing. I want this.
It does look really, really cool. I'm gonna watch these videos on it. You know,
about 70 miles an hour.
That British company Morgan, they still celebrate the idea that a car should be a mechanical thing. Like, there's no radio, there's no
wood, motherfucker, wood.
There's no creature comfort. It's you're supposed to enjoy the drive, right?
I love it. It's made out of wood.
They have wood in the motherfucker, and their high-end models go like 200 miles an hour. Can you imagine the feeling going 200 miles an hour on a piece of wood?
But the low-end ones are pretty sporty anyway.
Yeah, I know they are. Especially that little three-wheeled thing. That thing looks like a fucking blast.
Yep. I like weird cars like that.
The Reliant Robin. Oh my God.
They raced those.
That episode of Top Gear where Clarkson just kept on wrecking it on purpose. Oh my fucking God, that was hilarious.
They race those things.
Oh, I know they do. He went around London with it and went and visited all these little Reliant Robin groups.
Yeah, I know. I saw it, but I'm just saying they race those things, and the trick, according to John Hindhaugh, a motorsport announcer who's raced it, is to stay on two wheels all the time.
Right? Makes sense. That way you do. I would imagine it's a driver confidence kind of thing. If you get used to driving on two wheels, you're not going to push it too far.
Oh, no, they push it far.
No, but not too far. You don't want to go too far, or you fucking flip the damn thing.
Oh, they flip all the time.
I know awesome. They do.
It's awesome.
If I were to get one, I would hire a metal fabricator to put a roll cage in it, and I would just fucking go balls to the wall with it. But I'll never get one.
I will.
I would never. I know for sure if I ever hit the lottery that I would have a huge garage full of fucking vehicles. I know I would.
See, I would too, but the ones I would get, I wouldn't even have like Ferraris or Lamborghini because everyone has them. I'd have old and odd cars. I'd have a fucking Ariel Atom.
You wouldn't want a Ferrari F40?
Nah.
Oh, man.
It's a great car, but everyone has one. You know, everyone wants one. It's like, yeah, but so what I would do is I'd go completely bizarre. I'd get a fucking, I
think the most interesting garage on the planet, or one of anyways, is Jay Leno's because he has different sections. He has his old cars. He has his weird cars. He has his sport cars. That thing is enormous. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah, for about 15 years.
That motherfucker has an amazing collection.
Let's see, what else would I would get a Ural sidecar.
Yeah, that thing does look badass. I'm gonna
I
have to watch
would
this
get a
video.
Reliant Robin.
A Morgan.
A Morgan 3-wheeled car. I get a Lotus 11.
What about an Elise?
Well, hell, you can get that even without the lottery. They're not that expensive.
Yeah, I know they aren't, but you know what would be even better than an Elise is the Hennessy Venom.
Well, no.
It's based on the...
Yeah, I know what it is, and I think I'd rather have the Elise because
super duper rare.
The Venom is just too overpowered.
Well, it's meant to go in a straight line. That's what it's for.
Whereas an Elise looks like a really fun track day car. Looks like such a fun car to...
It looks like one of those cars that makes you feel like you're going much faster than you really are.
Well, that's the point of little sports cars, and I love little sports cars. I'd get a Triumph. I'd get a fucking Triumph. What was it? TR6
motorcycle
car.
The car.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I got a Sunbeam Alpine.
What about?
I love little British sport. I get a Ford. I get an old '80s Sierra Cosworth.
Yeah, those Cosworths are fucking sweet, man.
I would get a DeLorean just for the fuck of it.
Yeah, man. I watched some DeLorean stuff the other day. Some interesting things.
I'm a member of a DeLorean fan group actually on Facebook.
Oh, right on. When that went out of business, the company that bought it didn't give a shit about automotives or anything like that. It was just a
Nope.
business acquisition.
Yep.
And then the guy who owns it now, he has all the parts and has a garage, and he's got 1,000 doors left for each side.
Oh, you know what I get? It's a piece of shit, but I get a Trabant.
What's that?
Trabant.
Sounds like a communist car.
Yes, it is.
It's a piece of shit.
I love it. I want it.
I saw a video with a commie car. It was a commie car. It got 47 horsepower. 47.
Yeah, okay, fine. But I'm just saying, it's weird enough that I would get it.
I would definitely have a weird part of the garage.
Oh, you know? I get a mini moke.
But there's no fucking way I'm not getting an Aston Martin Vanquish, a fucking Ferrari F40, a mint 55 fucking Corvette. You know, there's no way I'm not getting those kind of things.
I got an old Ferrari.
Like I
have a passion for Ferraris before 1969, which is when Enzo sold to Fiat.
Yeah, but dude,
GTO, motherfucker.
The Ferraris that came out in the late 80s and early 90s are just so fucking epic. Like, I don't care if Fiat owns it. They're just so awesome.
I would get a GTO.
What about muscle cars?
As far as like I said, everyone wants a fucking Ferrari. Everyone wants a Porsche. I mean, why not? I get a Saab 96 little two-stroke rally car.
We're talking like $1 billion win in the lottery.
Yeah,
you could afford to have both.
Yeah, but I would probably buy these weird cars and then invest my money into something like a race team or something.
Okay, let me ask you this. Would you have at least one badass car that everybody wants or has?
I don't know. I don't know what everyone wants or has because because these are honestly cars I really want. I mean,
what about?
I would want to have a mini moke.
What about like a Skyline GTR?
Those are fun. I mean, I like a lot of
it. A little bit weird too, because at the time that there was nothing like that. The only thing that came
PlayStation
close,
on wheels. Exactly.
Another car like that is the Audi, that came out, the Audi Quattro, the first incarnation of the Audi Quattro. That would be an awesome motherfucking car to own.
They put that car in the Trans Am series, racing against like Camaros and Mustangs in the late '80s, and it dominated.
Well, yeah, that thing dominated all over the world. It just kicked everybody's ass.
And then they banned it.
I can imagine. That thing was amazing. There's very few leagues left in the world where mechanics still come into the factor of whether or not a car is going to win or not.
Well, yes and no. I mean, it's still a race, and you've still got,
like Le Mans. They still not totally, but they still allow for some innovation to take place.
Well, yeah, Le Mans more than anything else. I'm just trying to think of all the cars. I definitely, I'd have to get a Porsche of some sort.
What about a 918?
I'd probably just get the highest 911.
Oh, what year?
Oh, I don't fucking know.
The newest. Well,
I get two. I definitely get.
The newest ones. The newest ones are absolutely incredible cars.
Yeah, but also an old air-cooled one.
Get one from like the 70s
or the 60s.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Now, what about muscle cars?
Let's see, what muscle cars would I get? Yeah, I like them too. I mean, I'm just trying to think of all the I'd have to get a hovercraft of some sort.
Just well, if you're a billionaire, you could afford to buy that. Buy one of the ferries that they used in Great Britain.
Actually, if I was a billionaire, I'd probably actually just buy a couple of cars and then invest in like race teams and race tracks and shit.
That would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Well, that's been my dream for years.
Like go around to like different vocational schools and cherry pick some of the best students, and then raise them up on your money and your talent pool.
Not just students. I know who I'd hire. I know the drivers I'd hire.
Yeah, that would be absolutely incredible.
I would hire. I mean, I know the teams I would hire. Oh yeah, I already know. I mean, so my favorite driver in sports cars won her second championship.
Yeah, you said that. That's awesome.
And yes, in a Ferrari.
That's awesome. Ferrari's always rapping, man.
488.
In a 488.
Yes, and the race I was at. Yes.
Speaking of Ferrari, their 80s mid-range vehicles are fucking. They're just so cool. Like they're not so souped up like your F40s and your things like that. And they're still really expensive, but they're cars that you can use every day.
I would get like a top of the line Vet too.
A new one, or like a mint cherry one from the days?
Both.
Yeah, the new ones are sweet.
But an old Stingray or something.
Oh, I'm trying to think of the. I think it's 55. Let me look it up. 55 Corvette.
55 Vet.
Yeah, the 55 Vet. I mean, that thing is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, but I think I get a 57, a little bit more power.
Well, the 55.
That was the first year of the small block Chevrolet.
Maybe I was thinking of one a little bit later. I like the 55.
That was the first year of. Oh no, it's okay. A very
No.
car.
58. That thing is gorgeous.
55 is an important car.
I know.
I get a. What else would I get? I get a.
You would want a Stingray from like 63.
Yeah. Let's see. What else would I get?
What about Mustangs?
I've never been as crazy about Mustangs. I mean, we have one.
We
have. They're fun.
If I were to get a Mustang, there's two I'm interested in: the Foxback from the 90s and a brand new one.
Well, my problem with Mustangs has always been the suspension. The suspension on those things.
Well, yeah. These new ones are incredible.
Yeah,
but you know what? Everyone has finally got their suspension sorted out. Finally.
Well, Mustangs had an old style suspension. I mean, the Brits always made fun of them.
Yeah. Well, they deserve to be made fun of. It was ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous that it took American companies so long to start doing independent suspension.
Well, I mean, the reason why it was live, actually, you've had the drag racers loving it, and I understand why the drag racers love it, but couldn't they make drag racing suspensions that?
Yeah, I want to be able to fucking turn. God damn it.
Well, yeah. But
what about?
I love drag. I mean, I would get. I'm trying to fucking think. I get a Sprite too.
What about a 77 Firebird? Now, those things do not perform.
They had a 500 cubic inch engine and it made about 100 horsepower.
I understand that. But just look at it.
Yeah,
I mean.
But, no.
If I were to do that, I would buy two. I would get one to keep as stock. And then I would buy another one to do an engine and transmission swap.
God, I wouldn't keep any as stock. That thing was underpowered. It's like the
Chevrolet Corvette. It would be cool. It would be cool to have one stock, though.
Ugh. It's like the Chevrolet Corvette for California from the 80s.
Or like a you're talking about DeLorean. Those things were underperforming too.
Yeah, but they didn't have a four. They had a Lotus engine.
No, but John DeLorean was a fucking idiot for not realizing you can't make a car look like that without giving it proper suspension,
Well, it was supposed
brakes,
to be a sort of
transmission.
it was supposed to be a European style sports car.
Yeah, but he didn't put the right fucking kind of parts in it.
And they don't know. I mean, the European sports cars have never had the power. I mean, here's the thing, though.
Yeah, but that thing doesn't have anything to speak of. Like,
well, yeah, it needed some Triumph parts or something.
Now, I saw a dude the other day, and it was sketchy, but he fucking put an LS engine in one of those things. 500 horsepower, and he left the original fucking transmission in it.
I would get. I'm just trying to think because okay, so it's like this in the early '80s. California had really strict fuel things, so they basically neutered the Corvette. They put a tiny little 2 carburetor in it. They put a 2-speed transmission in it. It made 130 horsepower. Because I mean, I don't give a shit if it looks
well.
good.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of those cars from that era, they look so awesome, right?
Well,
they
okay.
look like they should be. They do not fit though because they look like they go fast, but they don't.
The thing about sort of that thing is, I wouldn't mind if the car made 130 horsepower if it weighed 1,200 pounds and was powered by a zippy little engine in it. But the fact is that the Firebird was a beast. It had a 485 cubic inch engine or something like that.
Yeah. There's no excuse. There's no excuse.
Well, the excuse was that they didn't know anything about fuel economy. You know, a car I love that looks really great, but is just an abomination. Mm-hmm. 2 words, my friend. That fucking. Sorry, I was distracted. 2 words that symbolize it: Plymouth Prowler.
Oh, let me look that up. It's been a while since I've heard that. Car.
I love the looks of it, but then they ruined it.
Let me look at it real quick. Oh yeah, those things are fucking cool, man.
But the engine.
What did they put in it?
Like 100-something horsepower 6-cylinder.
That's bullshit. That thing needs at least 300 horsepower.
Everyone was so excited when they introduced the Prowler. Oh my god, look at it! It's a street. What the fuck?
Yeah, that thing. Is it lightweight?
No, I mean.
Oh well, okay. Then it needs 500 to 600 horsepower.
Well, I mean, it's relatively light. I forget the. God damn it! I'm gonna have to look it up.
Does it weigh more than 3,000 pounds?
Here. Let me. Plymouth.
I'm just gonna hit weight.
Here, let me just look this up here. Well, I don't want to look up the fucking.
2,850 pounds. Okay, that could
That's
work.
A lot.
That could work with relatively lower horsepower. It has 253 horsepower. I mean, that's not bad power to weight. It's not bad. It's not great either.
That's not the point, though. A car that looks like that needs a V8 in it.
It needs to have an astonishing power to weight ratio, and it doesn't.
Well, it doesn't even matter. It needs a V8.
253 horsepower is not.
Well, that was the second
enough.
generation. The first generation had like 180.
Well, what year did it come out?
Like 90. Well, I think the first one had like 180, and then they finally put 250 horsepower in it. But the first one had like I said, it was so underpowered. The second one they put more power in it, but it was it's a classic case of too little, too late.
This would be a really interesting either video or article to write or make about amazing looking cars that did not receive proper treatment in the department of engine, transmission.
There's a Time magazine article you may like. I think it's either the 50 or the 100 worst cars of all time.
Okay.
I'll send it to you. It's really interesting. It features like the first car on that list is you know what? I'll just send it to you and you could browse it with me.
The early 2000s Camaro only had 200, but they had a 335 horsepower, but the thing weighed fucking 3,500 pounds too. What the fuck, American car companies from the like
we don't have to look up all these, but we can browse the list and laugh together. By the way, would you like to see the ugliest car in the world?
Which is what?
Subaru 360.
Let me look it up. Subaru 360. Dude, that isn't a it looks like a fucking tumor. What the fuck?
It is the slowest fucking car in the world. I have a diecast of it just because.
That would be an interesting car to own.
Oh, you would. Okay, I think it went 0 to 60 in like 30 seconds.
Wow, that's commie. That's commie car territory right there.
It was made. Well, no, it was made in the late 50s, and I guess.
but like a fucking
here.
Pontiac Thunderbird was made in 55, and that thing went pretty goddamn
The point
good.
of it, well, the point of it was, it was less than 1,000 pounds, so it was officially classified as a covered motorcycle by insurance companies, and therefore people could get it on the cheap.
Oh, okay.
But nobody bought it because look at it, and it was flimsy, and it was super slow. It had a little 2-stroke engine in it. And
man, you know what car? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but go. No, finish your story. I'm sorry. Go.
No. I was just gonna say I want one.
Something caught my eye though. The 50s wagons, like a Pontiac Safari. Those things, or a trying to think, what other kind of good big wagons were there back then?
Studebakers.
Well, that's what came to my mind too. That would be a cool car to have. Let me think though. There's something else.
I'm trying to find this thing.
Well, for me, mostly it comes down to that Safari.
Here it is. The 50 worst cars.
A Chief Safari basically looks like a hearse.
I want a hearse.
I want, out of muscle cars from the 50s, it's a real tough fight between a 55 Ford Thunderbird coupe or a 55 Corvette.
I get a Chrysler 300. Anyway, I sent you the link, by the way. The 50 worst cars. We can laugh together.
Okay. Now, you know what? I think the Thunderbird wins in the fight between the 55.
Too much luxury.
No, dude, it's such a cherry car.
It's not fast enough.
Yeah, but it's 55. Let me look up.
Well, I mean, the Vet's faster if you want.
Let me look this shit up. Stats.
Well, the problem, no, because the Thunderbird was not marketed as a muscle car. It was marketed as a personal car. It was marketed to be a luxury car. The Vet was marketed as a European-style sports car, but the Europeans laughed at it because it's not a European-style sports car.
I just want to see its specs real quick before we go into that article. All right, here's its specs. Ford Thunderbird convertible V8, the coupe.
Yeah.
2-door roadster, rear-wheel drive, 3-speed, petrol. Weight. Let me get to the weight. Where's the weight? Curb weight, 3,100 pounds, 3,150. Okay, where's its horsepower?
Yeah, but I get a Ferrari Mexico if I was going 55.
193 horsepower. No, you're right. That's way underpowered for its weight.
Let's just...
You were right. All right, let's go back to the giggly article here. The horsey horseless.
Yes.
All right. You know what though? We're talking about 1899 here. Yeah, anything that moved without a fucking horse was actually pretty goddamn amazing.
Not really.
Yes, really, dude.
You're 30 years behind you.
Yeah, but that's 30 years is nothing.
Yeah, actually, you are. Yeah, actually, it is. Especially if you read what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a fucking thing
All
where
right,
that
let me read
horses
it.
wouldn't get.
All right, let's read it. I'll read it out loud. Somewhere between an early car and the head in the bed scene in The Godfather, the horsey horseless, the brain fart of inventor Uriah Smith of Battle Creek, Michigan, was intended to soothe the skittish nerves of our equine servants. A wooden horse head was attached to the front of the shuffling buggy in order to make it resemble a horse and carriage. That's stupid. I agree.
See, you were just going off. You need to like do research before you.
Smith recommended the horse head to be hollow and to contain volatile fuel. Another great idea. Why? The live horse would be thinking of another horse. What the fuck? And before he could discover his error and see that he had been fooled, the strange carriage would be passed. Stupid horse. It's not clear if the horsey horseless was ever actually built or if it is just a chimera of auto history. But it reminds us of what a radical, hard to conceptualize thing a horseless carriage was. And that was my point, is that back then, even though it had been done 30 years prior, anything that you could walk into and
while I
it moved,
agree, you were just shooting your mouth off without reading why it was stupid.
Yeah, well, I didn't say it was a smart car. I was just saying anything. I just said anything that moved back then was actually pretty fucking sweet.
You don't have to read all these, but just skim through and tell me what's next.
Like if I were alive back then and I had a horsey horseless, I'd be fucking ecstatic about it. But anyways,
what's next on the list?
Ford Model T.
Well, okay, so I need to preface this. I'll just say the Model T was a piece of shit. It was.
It's in history books because of how quickly they could produce them.
It was cheap. It was cheap, but you got nothing in return. You basically just got an appliance. Mm-hmm. Even by that, okay. What's next?
And that's 1909. So we're getting into where they're starting to race these things and shit.
It was a successful car, but really, it was just.
It's in the history books because they were able to mass produce.
And it was cheap, and everyone bought it because they needed transportation. But you gave up so much for that. Anyway, what's next on the list?
Well, the next one on the list came out in 1911, the year my favorite pistol came out. Milton Reeves. It's called the Overland Octo Auto.
I remember this. I love this car.
I don't see a picture. I'm going to look up a picture real quick. Oh my God. That's awesome. I imagine it's bad because it's probably it probably guzzles gas like crazy.
Read it and see what they say.
Where am I at? There it is. All right. Milton Reeves had a very hard head and apparently very poor eyesight. While the general conformation of the automobile was largely sorted out in the first decade of the 20th century, particularly that business about four wheels, Reeves thought that perhaps 8 or a minimum of 6 wheels might provide a smoother ride. Well, there's that Mercedes big fuck you truck. But anyways, that exists now. It's a modern vehicle. But welding in some bits to a 1910 Overland and adding 2 more axles and 4 more gun cart style wheels, Reeves created the Octo Auto, proudly displaying it at the inaugural Indianapolis 500. Like its Marvel Comics worthy name, the car was a bit of a monster, measuring over 20 feet long. Jesus
Christ.
Talk about scaring the horses. 0 orders for the patently ugly and silly Octo Auto apparently didn't discourage Reeves, who tried again the next year with the Sextato, 6 wheels, single front axle design. Reeves is remembered today as the inventor of the muffler, which is far from ignominy.
Okay,
So
what's
this
next?
motherfucker invented the muffler.
Yeah.
Damn, that's actually fucking huge. Anyways,
What's next?
let me see if there's a picture first. I gotta look it up before I say. Hold on. I have to be able to see these things.
You should have a window open with the search bar. Just
I am doing what I know I need to do, Elliot. Just fuck off. All right, so this is I can't tell if it's a motorcycle, two-wheeled car. Hold on.
What's it
I
called?
got to get a better look at it. No, it is okay, I get it. It's a two-wheeled motorcycle with what looks like training wheels on the sides.
And what's it called?
It is called the Scripps Booth by AutoGo.
By Autogo. Yes.
By AutoGo. That sounds like a Buckethead song.
Yeah, doesn't it?
Unless
looks
they
like a
sing,
Buckethead
by
car.
AutoGo, go. It goes really fast. By AutoGo, go.
Looks like a fucking Buckethead car.
It really does, dude. Let me try to explain it to you. It's it's a really long two-wheeled motorcycle. Okay, the driver sits at the rear. There's a huge compartment for the engine and transmission. And right underneath the driver are these training wheel looking things to keep it balanced. What a dumb design. This one is absolutely stupid.
I love it though.
Absolutely stupid. It would be interesting to own. Okay. A 3,200-pound motorcycle with training wheels, a fucking V8 engine, and enough copper tubing to provide every hillbilly in the Ozarks with a still. The Scripps Booth by AutoGo was the daft experiment of James Scripps Booth, an heir of the Scripps publishing fortune and a self-taught or untaught auto engineer. You know, he made the thing and it worked, so give him at least some credit.
Keep reading.
The By AutoGo was essentially a two-wheeled vehicle, carrying its considerable heft on 37-inch wheels, wooden wheels, 37-inch wooden wheels. In 1913, well after they had started racing fucking cars. Anyways.
Well after the safety bicycle was invented.
At slow speeds, the driver could lower small wheels on outriggers to stabilize the vehicle so it wouldn't plop over. This is not a case of the advantage of hindsight. This was obviously a crazy idea, even in 1913, I agree. The By AutoGo does not enjoy the historical distinction of being the first V8-powered vehicle ever built in Detroit. So you could argue it is the beginning of an even greater folly. Hey, fuck you, man. I like American V8s. Now, there's good arguments to say they didn't know what the fuck they were doing to get power out of them. But I still fucking love V8s.
There's a lot. Okay, what's next?
The Briggs and Stratton Flyer.
This is another one of my favorites.
Let me look it up.
Picture, yes.
Images. Oh my God, it's just nothing. It looks like a bobsled. It is a toboggan on wheels. That is exactly what it is.
It's a Briggs and Stratton lawnmower engine.
What do they do? Why do I know that name?
Lawnmowers.
Okay. I want one, man. That looks like a blast. That looks like it's ridiculous.
Except for the fact that it was ultra slow. Read it.
Dude, I guarantee you that thing is a blast.
Read it.
By 1920, the automotive was no longer a primitive experiment. Companies such as Rolls-Royce, Cadillac, Hispano-Suiza, and Voisin were making potent and luxurious automobiles. The technical achievements of the age. And then there was this, the Flyer, which is no more than a motorized park bench on a bicycle wheels. No suspension. Oh, shit. No bodywork, no windshield. And it was actually a 5-wheeler with the dinky 2-horsepower Briggs & Stratton engine driving the traction wheel on the back.
Yeah.
Like a boat's outboard motor. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
The flyer represents something we'll see several times on this list.
Yes.
The drive to make the absolute cheapest, most minimal automobile possible. You know what? I'm all for that shit.
The problem is it just doesn't work.
I mean, if this thing had suspension on it, I would be a little bit
more than 2 horsepower. And
more than 2 horsepower. You know, something that light, it can't weigh more than 100 pounds, 150 pounds. Let me look at it again.
We'll okay,
this that probably weighs 200 to 300 pounds.
But it was slow. There was no insulation. There was nothing. There was no body.
if you take this and somehow add suspension and give it, I don't know, 80 to 100 horsepower, that thing is ridiculous.
Even 50 or 60 would work.
Oh, dude, I guarantee it. That'd be the most fun vehicle to drive in the world. All right, let's move on. I am going to describe what it looks like first. It looks like a driving dildo. The Fuller Dymaxion. It even sounds like a dildo name. The Fuller Dymaxion.
Oh, I remember this from Monster Garage.
Designer genius R. Buckminster Fuller was one of the century's great...
Isn't that an amazing name? Buckminster Fuller.
Yes, it is. Buckminster, baby.
Buckminster.
My name's Buckminster.
His real name is Richard, and he lived until like the fucking 90s.
What an old bastard.
Yeah.
Designer genius R. Buckminster Fuller was one of the century's great nut jobs. Yes. A walking unorthodoxy who originally conceived of the Dymaxion as a flying automobile or drivable plane with jet engines and inflatable wings.
Yes, I love this guy.
Wow. That's, yeah.
There's one problem.
We'll read it. It would be one link in his vaguely totalitarian plan for the people to live in mass-produced houses deposited on the landscape by dirigibles. Okay, deprived of wings. The Dymaxion was a 3-wheeled, ground-bound Zeppelin with a huge levered A-arm carrying the rear wheel, which swiveled like the tail wheel of an airplane. Wow, that would be awful to drive. The first prototype had a wicked death wobble in the rear wheel. That's what I imagine. The next 2 Dymaxions were bigger, heavier, and only marginally more drivable. The third car had a stabilizer fin on top, which did nothing to cure the Dymaxion's acute instability in crosswinds. A fatal accident involving the car, cause unknown, doomed its public acceptance. Though unworkable, this 3-wheeled suppository, that's exactly what it looks like, is a suppository, was the boldest of a series of futuristic rear-engine cars of the 1930s, including the Tatra, the Highway Aircraft Corporation's fascination car, and everybody's favorite, the Nazi KDF wagon. We're looking that up real quick, just so I can see the Nazi car.
Okay.
And instead of getting a car, I'm getting a Nazi symbol. This is bullshit.
Okay, he lived.
Oh, no! This car rules.
Buckminster Fuller. Hang on. The Buckminster Fuller, born in 1895, in 83.
Yeah. Oh wow, he lived way long.
87 years.
Yeah, he well past his prime.
He was a designer and an inventor and an author.
This KDF wagon, though.
Yeah.
That is your Beetle. Okay? But then the advertising is what is awesome. It's got a swastika on it as a badge.
Yeah.
It's fucking cool, dude. That would be a car to own right there. Anyways, let's go back to the list.
What's next on the list?
Chrysler DeSoto Airflow. I've heard about this before.
God, I remember this car.
All right, let me get some images here pulled
Fucking
up.
awful.
It is, in terms of these type of cars, the real big honking coupe, this is actually very bland and meh.
Well, what does it say about it?
The Airflow's worstness derives from its spectacularly bad timing. This was 1934. 20 years later, the car's many design and engineering and innovations, the aerodynamic singlet-style fuselage, steel space frame construction, near 50-50 front and rear weight distribution, and lightweight would have been celebrated. Okay, that's actually pretty awesome for 1934.
Yeah, but
as it was in 1934, the car's dramatic steamliner styling antagonized Americans on some deep level, almost as if it were designed by Bolsheviks. It didn't help that a few early Airflows had major engine falling out type problems, that stemmed from the radical construction techniques required.
I just love the way that was written. Major engine falling out type problems.
Yeah, no kidding. Chrysler and the even more hapless DeSoto tried to devolve the Airflow stylistically. That's what I was saying. It looks bland. Giving it a more conventional grille and raising the trunk into a kind of bustle. Some later models were named Airstream, but the damage was done. Sales were abysmal. It wouldn't be the last time American car buyers looked at the future and said no thanks. So it sounds to me like it had some really ambitious ideas that
and the public just wasn't ready for it.
Not just that, but the manufacturing process was not up to date. It was too ahead of its time.
Yep. All right, what's next?
Crosley Hotshot. This sounds like a porn actress's name.
I remember this.
Crosley's Hotshot.
Yeah, I remember
Images. That's a cool little car, man.
Yeah, but it had problems.
I'm sure it did, but I mean,
it had problems.
Okay, now I already see one of the problems.
What?
And it's a pretty bad problem. It's got no doors. Okay, I need doors. I would like a door.
Let's see if doors were mentioned.
The first sports car produced in post-war America was a major hunk of junk. Actually, at 1,100 pounds and 145 inches long. Let me think. That's how much is that? There's 50. How many?
Fuck knows. About 12 feet.
12 feet long. That's not very big. Well, no. Hold on. Let me.
That is kind of long.
Hold on.
145
yeah, you're
inches.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
God! 145 inches long. The Crosley Hotshot, the Crosley Crotch Shot was a minor hunk of junk. But at least it was slow and dangerous. A wondrously mangled and compacted hotshot can be glimpsed in the 1961 Driver's Ed scare film, Mechanized Death. We must watch that. I am searching that, and if we're up late enough, we are watching it. It's 25 minutes long. The hotshot was the work of consumer products pioneer Powell Crosley Jr. of Cincinnati. He of Crosley Radio fame. But what he really wanted to do was build cars, which he did with middling failure until the doors closed in 1952.
I saw Crosley win all 3 races in a historic car race.
Oh wow! Did they have a bigger engine in it or something?
No, there was just no competition.
A hotshot actually won. A hotshot actually won the Index of Performance, an honor for the best speed of its displacement at a 1956 hours of Sebring. Well, yeah, because it only weighed 1,100 pounds.
1,100 pounds. But it was a piece of shit.
Anyways, puttering around at an average speed of 52 miles per hour. Fuck you. If you weigh 1,100 pounds, fuck you going 52. Anyways.
I need to go about 60.
100. What killed the hot shot was its engine. A dual overhead cam. Why? 0.75 four-cylinder. Not cast in iron, but brazed together from pieces of stamped tin. When these brazed welds let go, as they often did, things quickly got noisy and hot. Oh my God, man. A dual overhead cam, four-cylinder. Why? Why? Made out of tin. Anyways, next.
Yeah.
Give me a second.
Okay.
Oh, shit. Hold on. No. Oh, no. Shit. I'm not driving the internet good. Mechanized death. There it is. Okay, back to it. Renault Dauphine. Renault Dauphine. Dauphine.
I like this car.
Here we go. I'm looking at it.
It's a cute car.
It's handsome. It's a handsome little car.
Yeah.
Why do they have a problem with it?
Let's find out.
There's even a sporty little version.
Let's find out.
The most ineffective bit of French engineering since the Maginot Line, the Renault Dauphine, was originally to be named the Corvette. Très ironie. It was, in fact, a rickety, paper-thin scandal of a car that, if you stood beside it, you could actually hear rustling.
Well, it's true, but I like it.
I like the way it looks, and according to some of these pictures I saw, there appears to be sporty versions of it. But anyways, its most salient feature was its slowness. At a rate of acceleration you could measure with a calendar. Ha, 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 ha.
Well, okay, that is kind of true.
It took the drivers at road and track 32 seconds to reach 60 miles per hour. Wow.
Christ.
Wow. And Renault, that's a big company.
That is a big company. They own fucking Nissan.
Which would put the Dauphine at a severe disadvantage in any drag race involving farm equipment.
Actually, he's right though.
Yeah, he could. You know what? A Dauphine could potentially beat a Lamborghini in a drag race.
Okay.
The tractors.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Good.
The fact that the ultra cheap, super sketchy Dauphine sold over 2 million copies around the world is an index of how desperately people wanted cars. Any cars. And that goes back to my previous point. But no, I disagree with him on this. This is 1956.
People's cars were a lot better. You had the Volkswagen.
Mm-hmm. There was actual quality now by this time in cars. There's no...
Yeah, but the Renault was just cheaper, so people bought them. Okay, so my problem with the whole people's car thing is it never works. The people's car, it worked for the Volkswagen, but you'll see later on what's next on the list.
What do you mean by people's car? Just in general? Like a car that sells a lot?
No. I mean a car that's built no frills, no. It's for the people.
Okay, are you talking specifically German or just in general?
The Yugo, that Briggs and Stratton car was supposed to be a people's car. That Dauphine was supposed to be a people's car.
You know,
Another time they sacrifice everything to get a generic car.
I think, and it might not really qualify, but until I find a better example, I think the Ford Escort in Great Britain is probably the best one ever.
True. I mean, the Model T. Model T was a great people's car, but it was a piece of shit.
Yeah, well,
What's next on the list here? This is actually quite fun.
King Midget Model 3. And
I am King Midget.
It is really cool looking. I mean...
No, shut up. I am King Midget.
The third. Because it says the third. It's King Midget 3.
What does it say about it? I don't remember this car.
Let me explain the way it looks.
Okay.
Do you know what a Volkswagen Thing looks like?
Yes, I love the Thing.
Okay. Similar. It's very similar. A lot smaller. A lot smaller.
I want it.
I think that might be Clarkson right there in this thing. And it looks like one of those Shriners go-karts. Seriously.
Okay. What does it say
about Clarkson. He's like 11 foot tall, giant man. So anyways, let's go on. The King Midget story reminds us of what a middle-class nation the U.S. was in the 50s.
Yeah.
Claude Dry and Dale Orcutt of Athens, Ohio, buddies from Civil Air Patrol, wanted to sell bare-boned utility car that anybody could afford. Unlike that bloody elitist peacenik Henry Ford with his fancy Model T. Bullshit. Anyway,
they're being sarcastic.
I know, but fuck them. Anyways, where am I at? I lost my place. Okay.
Bloody elitist peacenik.
King Midget's cars made the Model T look like a Bugatti Royale. In the late 1940s, they began offering the single-seat Model 1 as a home-built $500 kit. That'd be fucking... Could you imagine, like, there was a car that you ordered in parts?
You can still do that.
I know there's kit cars available.
The Noble M12.
Yes, that thing is crazy, dude. I wouldn't allow myself to buy that car.
I would.
I wouldn't be able to do it.
Anyway, carry on.
Containing the frame. This kit included the frame, axles, and sheet metal patterns so that the body panels could be fabricated by local tradesmen. Any single-cylinder engine would power it. Wow. The result was a truly craptastic little vehicle. The four-wheeled equivalent to those Briggs & Stratton powered mini bikes. Amazingly, Midget Motors continued to develop and sell mini cars until the late 1960s. This was developed in 57. That's not that impressive.
It does kind of make the Model T look like a fucking Ferrari.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's got a single-stroke engine, yeah.
Single cylinder.
Yeah, little folded steel cracker box powered by a 9-horsepower motor. That was in 57. That's the Model 3. That's the one we're talking about.
By the way, the Volkswagen Thing, its actual name is the Type 181. And it actually was made for military service.
Yeah, it looks like it was.
Yep.
More rugged.
Yeah.
Powered by a 9-horsepower motor. Government safety standards, at long last, put the King Midget out of our misery. You know what?
Just imagine.
I like it a lot.
Just imagine. Yeah, but it went 5 miles an hour.
You could what you do is with a modern lawnmower engine, you could make that thing go.
Plus, if you got in a fight with anything like remotely big,
oh well, yeah,
you would die.
You could say the same thing about a Lotus Elise. You could say the same thing
True,
about.
But I would never put a Lotus Elise on a street. I use that for a fucking track day car. What's next?
I would burn through the back roads on mine. Well, but anyways, let's keep on trucking. Waterman Aeromobile. I'm sorry, Waterman Aerobile. Aragon. The car that is the Lord of the Ring. It is a literal car that is a literal airplane.
I know, I love it. It's a fucking airplane car. I used to have a pedal car that was an airplane car.
And honestly, like, I think I'm going to agree with this list on this one, because if you're going to buy an airplane and a car, just buy an airplane and a car. Like,
well, what does it say? What's the history of it?
Because if you land this thing, you have to disassemble its wings and leave them at the airport. I guess, I could see the convenience of it. But anyways, let's go on.
Well, nowadays they probably have folding wings that you can just fold.
I think there's a modern equivalent.
Well, let's
we'll
go
look
on.
it up.
Yeah.
We'll look it up later.
Yeah.
Waldo Waterman wanted aviation pioneer Glenn Curtis to like him in the worst way. Inspired by what was apparently Curtis's casual remark about driving an airplane away from the field. Waterman spent years developing a roadable airplane. In 1934, he flew his first successful prototype, the Aeroplane, spelled like bow and arrow plane.
Yes, I know.
A high-wing monoplane with tricycle wheels. On the ground, the wings folded against the fuselage like those of a fly. Now, and then it says, now would be a good time to note that Waterman must have been crazy to get airborne in such a contraption. Yeah, so were the Wright brothers.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, the aeroplane goes down as the first real flying car. 2 decades later, Waterman finally perfected, if that's the word, what he then called Aerobile. Configured as a swept wing pusher prop in the back.
Yep.
There were few customers with so consummate a death wish as to order their own Aerobile. The Waterman's one working car plane eventually wound up in the Smithsonian, where it can't kill anyone.
See, okay. See, you don't have to disassemble the wings if they can fold back.
That was in the first model.
Well, no, the first model they folded down as in a fly. But nowadays, what I would do is I would make wings that could fold back, like say on the F-14 Tomcat.
Even better would be, okay, your wings are out, okay, and then once you want to store them, they delta first. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And then telescopically go up over the roof. So yeah, your car is going to be ugly as fuck. But anyways,
what's next on the list?
I really love the look of this car. A Ford Edsel.
The Edsel wasn't necessarily a bad car. It was just wrong place, wrong time, wrong marketing, wrong everything. And you're one of the only people who actually like the look of the car. Most people think it's butt fucking ugly.
The wagon version's really cool. There's lots of different versions of it. There's sedan, coupe, wagon.
Read what it's. I have mixed feelings about the Edsel.
I like it, man. Anyway, I know there's better looking ones, but do we want to read this one? I mean, it's kind of... All right. That's why we're all here, right? To celebrate E-Day, the date 50 years ago when Ford took one of the Autodom's most hilarious pratfalls. But why? It really wasn't that bad a car. True, the car was kind of homely, fuel-thirsty, and too expensive, particularly the outset of the late 1950s recession.
Yeah.
But what else? It was the first victim of Madison Avenue hype. Ford's marketing mavens had led the public to expect some plutonium-powered pancake-making wonder car.
Yep.
What they got was a Mercury. Cultural critics speculated that the car was a flop because the vertical grille looked like a vagina. See, maybe that's why I liked it. I like the look of vaginas.
I love that, but it is a Mercury.
Is it really?
It's shared platform with Lincoln Mercury.
Well, that's not uncommon even today for...
But I'm just saying, the way they hyped it up, they had television shows about it. They had music.
Oh, yeah! I just saw that.
They had fucking, like, ass.
I just saw a documentary about the Ford Edsel. Actually, I remember that.
The thing is,
like it was the star of a TV show.
Yeah. They had fucking ass load. So the point is that you get that kind of homely looking car, or you get that, and then people look at it. What the hell?
Vagina. And it has a vagina grill.
It's like, here, but before we go on, look up the Ford EXP and tell me if that's a fucking sports car.
It certainly looks like one.
It's frog faced.
Yeah, but it looks like a sports car.
Well, but the point is everyone thought that they were getting a sports car at Ford, so everyone was hyping up the fact that they were getting a sports car, and they got that under. It was basically a 2-door Escort. Well,
and I also remember when this thing was made. It looks like around '88, something like that.
Well, Ford
that's when all those from the '70s, all those regulations were put in place. So all these cars were going to be underpowered because they didn't understand how to do fuel economy.
'88 was a little bit after that, though, when they were learning.
Yeah, but they were still. Yeah, but those policies were still in place.
The thing about the Edsel, though, yeah, but they could have gotten power out of a 4-cylinder like they did with the Probe and the Taurus. But the thing about the Edsel, though, is like I said, it was what? Yeah, Ford Probe, best car name ever.
Probe, yeah.
But the thing about the Edsel is, like I said, it was ultra hyped. And what they got was something that was basically a Mercury.
It does. Now, I said I liked the way it looks. I'm not saying it's the most beautiful thing ever at all. I'm not saying it's awesome or anything.
It's not the most ugly car in the world. I think it has an undeserved reputation for being the most ugly, but it is kind of homely.
Anyways, maybe America in the 1950s was certainly phobic about the female business. How did the Edsel come to be synonymous with failure? All of the above, consolidated into an irrational groupthink and pressurized by joyously catty media. Interestingly, it was Ford President Robert McNamara. Is he related to the other McNamara I'm thinking of?
Which one?
Hold on. McNamara government. Hold on. Yeah, it's the same guy, Robert McNamara.
Yeah.
Government official, military leader.
Yeah.
And also
government official.
And also the president of Ford at one time. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Who convinced the board to bail out of the Edsel project a decade later? Wow. You went a whole decade trying to fucking dry hump this thing. It was McNamara, then Secretary of Defense, who couldn't bring himself to quit the disaster of Vietnam. Even though he knew a lemon when he saw one. Yeah. Ironic, huh?
Yeah. He's like, let's bail out. Oh, I can't quit.
Dude, it's like the Edsel. Nobody said that to him?
I guess people were afraid of their jobs or something. I would have said that to him. I'd be like, dude, remember the Edsel.
Remember the Edsel, McNamara. I would like to know more about this McNamara fella. He seems like an interesting cat. Anyways.
I'd like to know more about the Edsel. I got to find that documentary. Anyway, what's next?
I will look for it. I was kind of half asleep when it was on. It might have been part of a broader documentary, but I'll look for whatever it was I saw.
Okay, and I'll look it up as well. What's next?
We're into Lotus now. Can you guess which Lotus?
I don't know, actually.
1958.
Okay.
Lotus Elite.
Yeah, okay.
You know what? I need to see more. Hold on. Give me a sec.
I have respect for Colin Chapman, so I'm not going to shit on him.
Okay, image results. You know what? Looks-wise, it's gorgeous. It's a beautiful...
Okay, let's see what the...
beautiful little car.
Let's see. And why is it so shit?
Fiberglass was the 50s carbon fiber. Tough, versatile, lighter than steel, and more affordable than aluminum. The Kaiser Darren and Corvette sports cars were wrapped in fiberglass bodies. For instance, Colin Chapman, the founding engineer of Lotus, was bonkers for weight savings.
Yep.
It was inevitable that he would be drawn to the material. And so, the Elite, weighing just 1,100 pounds and powered by a punchy 75 horsepower Coventry Climax engine. Let me see. I don't know what that is. Hold on.
Coventry Climax was an engine. They did some F1 work.
Is it a brand?
Yes, the Coventry Climax.
Okay.
But one of my favorite engines.
I didn't know if it was a brand or a type. But anyways, the Elite Type 14 was a successful race car, winning its class at the 24-hour of Le Mans 6 times.
Yes.
It was also a lovely little coupe, which made the moment when the suspension mounts punched right through the stress-skinned monocoque all the more pathetic. Oh, wow.
Well,
it's just fiberglass, so
yeah.
Touch such tight quarters. Anyways, the unreinforced fiberglass couldn't take the structural strain.
Yeah.
In Chapman's cars, failure was always an option. It's a little heavy-handed there,
no,
isn't
it
it?
isn't. I like Chapman, but he I don't like all his dodgy practices about saving weight.
Now, okay, maybe it's not heavy-handed because even in modern examples, the spirit of him lives on. In every review I've ever seen of a Lotus Elise, for example, something that's always mentioned is the cheapness of the interior and the cheapness of a lot of the materials being used.
There's a reason for that, because if you want carpet, it's more weight. But he did a lot of things in F1 that I wish he wouldn't have, saving weight and stuff, and
like
led to some drivers' deaths. Well, just
like safety equipment.
No, not safety equipment, but we were talking about fiberglass, and he would make really flimsy, light and fast, but ultra flimsy cars that would just break up,
disintegrate.
Yeah, but yeah. I have to respect him, but he did.
I do too.
I wish he wouldn't.
I do too.
What's next on the list?
I like Lotus a lot. Anyways,
yeah.
Let me get a picture of it up first.
Okay, this is actually quite fun.
This is fun. I'm more about production cars. I know you're more about racing.
Well, this combines the two because it has both.
It does. Anyways, let's go for it. The MGA twin cam.
Okay, I will defend this car. I will defend all MGs.
All right, I will read what it has to say and stop me when you want to say something. A point of personal privilege. I own a 1960 MGA that I restored with my own 2 hands, and it is a fantastic British sports car with lovely lines penned by Sid Iniver, a stiff chassis, and a floggable character. The car was introduced in 1955 as a replacement to the venerable TD, and itself was replaced by the MGB in 1962.
Yep.
Along the way, somebody decided my little car was anemic. Hey, I resent that. So MG offered an optional high-performance engine with dual overhead cams. That reminds me of that little fucking car with the dual cams.
10 engine.
With a 10 engine with dual overhead. Anyways, that's so ridiculous. Optional high-performance twin cam. It was leaking, piston burning, plug fouling nightmare of a motor that required absolute devotion to things like ignition timing, fuel octane and RPM limits. The less the whole shebang, vomit, connecting rods and oil all over the road.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to argue with that.
I've always heard from even Top Gear would always talk about the reason you should buy an MG is so that you learn how to fix cars.
Well, same with Triumph. That's that's what my dad would say about his old Triumph GT6.
Many years after the engine was taken out of service, it was discovered that the problem lay in the carburetors. At certain RPM, resonant frequencies would cause the fuel mixture to froth,
Yep.
leaning out the fuel and burning the pistons. I've never had any such trouble with my iron block, push rod, lawn tractor engine. I'm just saying. Huh. That's crazy.
So basically, get the engine with less power. It's better.
Yeah. That's crazy, though. Now, it's crazy to see the evolution of this because, you know, now all of a sudden they're noticing minuscule problems like frothy gas caused by
but
resonant
back then
frequencies.
it was a little more. What's next on the list?
Give me a second.
But
Funny
I like
name.
that car. What?
Funny name here. Hold on. Oh man. Wow. Just wow.
Okay.
The Zundap Janus.
Oh, Zundap. I love Zundaps.
Built in Nuremberg, Germany, by the well-established motorcycle firm during a downturn in the two-wheeler market.
They made some great bikes, Zundap.
Right on. I'll check them out. I'm not a big motorcycle guy, though. So.
Fuck you.
This push me, pull you was based on a Dornier prototype and powered by a 250cc, 14 horsepower engine, giving it a top speed of only 50 miles per hour. That's actually not bad.
Well, for bikes, it wouldn't be bad, but what does it look like?
Okay. Let me go back to it. All right. From the wheels up to the bottom of the windowsill, it is just a block. Like it looks like a block of cheese. All right. Okay. And then the front and rear goes just up. It looks like a trapezoid. All right. It goes up and then the roof. All right. And it's very symmetrical. Now, the interesting thing about it is the front and rear open. The front and rear of this car open as doors to get into the vehicle. There's no side door.
That's funny.
It's ridiculous.
Anyway.
And I just disrespect it now. Anyways, where was I? 14 horsepower engine giving a top speed of 50 miles an hour, assuming you had that kind of time. Its unique feature was the rear-facing bench seat, which meant passengers could watch in horror as traffic threatened to rear-end this roadblock of a car. Soon, it became clear, ach du Lieber, that the Janus was a disaster, coming or going. Ha ha. I don't like it. That's like the first one on the list where I was like kind of offended.
They make some great bikes, but they should have stuck to bikes.
Absolutely. All right. Now, I remember this car, and I will defend this car because of the enthusiasm and the forward thinking.
Okay.
The Amphicar.
I will defend it as well. I think it could have had a lot of promise.
I think the idea still has promise. I really think it does.
Well, why does he think it's
now? I will say this: I don't think it would be a good car like for GM to build. I think it would be better suited for somebody like Razor to make it.
So
okay.
Let's see what he has to say.
A vehicle that promised to revolutionize drowning.
Well, that is kind of true.
The Amphicar was the peacetime descendant of the Nazi Schwimmwagen.
Oh, I used to have a diecast of that.
I need to see that real quick.
Okay. It's basically a Volkswagen Bug that can fucking... It was actually designed by Ferdinand Porsche.
That is not a bug. It looks more like a thing.
Well, but okay, a thing looks a lot like
an amphibious thing. It's an amphibious thing.
A thing looks a lot like a military bug, like if someone took a Volkswagen Bug and militarized it. That's what I'm saying. It looks like it was designed by Ferdinand Porsche, actually.
Oh wow, did not know that.
You know who Ferdinand
Okay.
Porsche is?
Oh yeah. It does. I did know that. I did know that. Never mind. Yes, I know who Ferdinand Porsche is. Say it loud. It's fun. The standard line is that the Amphicar was both a lousy car and a lousy boat, but it certainly had its merits.
It was slow as fuck.
We'll get to that, I'm sure. It was reasonably agile on land, considering fairly maneuverable on water, if painfully slow, with a top speed of 7 miles per hour. Yuck.
Ooh, you can outrun some fish.
I could swim faster than that fucking thing.
Yeah.
Its single greatest demerit, and this is a big one, was that it wasn't particularly watertight.
Oh, fuck.
Its flotation was entirely dependent on whether the bilge pump could keep up with leakage. If not, the Amphicar became the world's most aerodynamic anchor. Even so, a large number of the nearly 4,000 cars built between 1961 and 1968 are still on the road/water. In fact, during the recent floods in Britain, an Amphicar enthusiast served as a water taxi, bringing water and groceries to a group of stranded school kids. Bully. See, this still has merit today.
Yeah.
This is something.
See, I'm not gonna argue his points because he makes good points, but I'll still defend it.
I'm defending the idea more than the car. Someone like Razor, an ATV company, or Polaris, or Honda, any of them.
They make amphibious cars.
Yeah, I've seen the 6-wheel, like tank-looking little things.
I want that.
Those things are sweet.
That if I had a lot of money, I'd get one of these and just be like, anyway, what's next on the?
All right, let me get a picture of it. I've heard of this car. I know I've heard of this car. I don't remember what it looks like. Oh, and it's rather ugly and bleh. Not all the models. Not all the models. The Corvair.
I will defend the Corvair. I think it was underpowered and unsafe, but I like some of the concepts of it.
Now, a lot like the what's that Ford, the Edsel? It has a lot of different body styles.
I like the concept of it. I just don't like anything else about it. Anyway,
some of these are gorgeous. Others are downright ugly.
There's a reason why it was on the list. Let's read about it.
Rear engine. Wow. Rear engine cars are fun to drive and even more fun to crash. While rear engine packaging offers enormous advantages, putting the vehicle's heaviest component behind the rear axle give cars a distinct tendency to spin out, sort of like an arrow weighted at the end, which is why Porsches are so impressive, to be honest. They just nailed it somehow.
Well, in racing, they actually had to finally move the car.
In Porsche, is that flat six over the rear axle or behind or in front of it?
It's on the street thing, it's behind it. On the racing thing, it's in front of it. I think you said it best. It's a Cayman with a 911 body on it. But on the street, it is anything that's a rear engine car has the engine behind the rear axle or at least over it and behind it. A mid-engine car is in front of the rear axle.
Yeah, it has to be between the axles.
So the Corvair is a true rear-engine car, and I like that. I just don't like anything else about it.
Okay. All right, let's keep going. During World War II, Nazi officers in occupied Czechoslovakia were banned from driving the speedy rear-engine Tatras because so many... I got to look that up.
I like them. They were fast for the time.
Cool looking too, dude.
Yeah, they're great.
Anyways, because so many had been killed behind the wheel, Chevrolet execs knew the Corvair, a life and lovely car with an air-cooled flat six in the back, a la VW Beetle, was a handful. But they declined to spend a few dollars per car to make the swing axle rear suspension more manageable. Yeah. This is an American car company problem, and
Yes, it
more
is.
than just one way.
Yeah.
Anyways,
It's all,
oh, they came to regret that. Ralph fucking Nader, put the smackdown on GM in his book, Unsafe at Any Speed. Also noting, anyways, what?
I said, yep.
Anyways, also noting that the Corvair's single-piece steering column could impale the driver in a front collision. Jesus. Ouch. Meanwhile, the Corvair had other problems. It leaked oil like a derelict tanker. Its heating system tended to pump noxious fumes into the cabin. I was inside of a truck that did that once.
Yeah.
It was offered for a while with a gasoline burner heater located in the front trunk. A common but dangerously dumb accessory at the time.
Yes.
Even so, my family had a Corvair with white, red interior, and we loved it. It is an appealing looking little guy. I mean, it's like...
Yes, it's really appealing. And then when you die, you can say, at least I was in it.
Oh, man, this next one. Oh, man, this next one.
Okay.
Peel Trident.
Oh,
Dude, it's adorable.
I love it.
It needs a hug, is what it needs. Okay?
Okay.
It's a 3-wheeler
Yes.
with a little bubble up top for a window. Aw. Now, it looks incredibly dangerous.
Maybe that's why it's on the list.
Okay, so the Reliant Robin, right? Flipped all the time. Why did it flip all the time? 3-wheeler. Okay.
Yeah.
Why would you want? Actually, you know what though? This one's set up a little bit different. The single wheel is in the back, so that's a little bit better.
Yeah.
It's more stable.
Yeah. Anyway. Why is it on the list?
Less than a car than a 5th grade science project on seed germination. What? The Peel Trident was designed and built on the Isle of Man in the 1960s for reasons yet undetermined. Kind of like Stonehenge. No. The Trident was the evolution of the P50, which at 4 foot 2 inches in length could justify its claim as the world's smallest car or fastest bar stool. The Trident is a good example of why all futuristic bubble top cars of GM's Motorama period would never work.
Yes.
I don't know about this Motorama. I got to search Google.
It was the old GM show, and they would have the old GM car show, and they would have all these futuristic designs and things like that. They would.
And this is from 1966. Okay. Anyways, let's go on. The sun would cook you alive under the plexiglass.
Yeah.
We in the car business call the phenomenon solar gain. You have to love the heroic name Trident, more like doofus on the half shell.
But I still want it.
Okay. This next car
has
to be defended because of its name.
Okay.
And only its name. I don't care about its styling, its power, its suspension.
Go.
AMC Gremlin, American Car Company.
Okay.
American Motors.
I want to say something nice about it. I really want to say something nice about it.
It's the name.
I can't.
It's amazing.
I can't. Fine, but it was a piece of shit. It was. No.
Well, AMC was not exactly,
AMC had 2 good cars, the Javelin and the AMX.
Now, in terms of looks, it just depends on which model you're getting, because some of these are fucking ugly, but other ones are really pretty badass looking.
So why is the Gremlin on the list?
Because the Kremlin is commies. And anyways, sorry. I made a terrible joke and I'm going to kill myself. Anyways, American Motors designer Richard Teague, remember that name? I've heard that name before, was responsible for some of the coolest cars of the era. Maybe that's why. The Gremlin wasn't one of them. AMC was profoundly in the weeds at the time. And the Gremlin was the company's attempt to beat Ford and GM in the subcompact punch. Or to beat Ford and GM to the subcompact punch.
Yeah.
To save time and money, Teague's design team basically whacked off. They did whack off.
Come on.
Whacked off the rear of the AMC Hornet with a cleaver. Now, hold on. I got to look that up. I got to see what an AMC Hornet
All you need
looks
to know
like.
about AMC, Scott, is they're a company that Chrysler bought only because of Jeep. They didn't give a shit about any other car company, but they wanted Jeep, and AMC had Jeep.
Wow, interesting. Now, this Hornet's fucking cool, dude. I like it. Anyways, the result was one of the most curiously proportioned cars ever, with a long, low snout, long front overhang, and truncated tail.
Yes, it looks like the guy just gave up designing the tail.
Yeah, and just fell off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I will disagree, though, that it's entirely ugly because some of the designs, at least on the bodywork, look really good. The result, with a long, low snout, truncated tail, like the tail snapped off a salamander.
Yes.
Cheap and incredibly deprived, with vacuum-operated windshield wipers, no less. The Gremlin was also awful to drive, with a heavy 6-cylinder motor and choppy, unhappy handling due to the loss of suspension travel in the back.
This is an American 6-cylinder motor. We're not talking about European. We're talking big, heavy American.
We're also talking American suspension.
Yeah.
The Gremlin was quicker than other compacts, but alas, that only meant you heard the jeers and laughter that much sooner. I want a Hornet, though, dude. That thing's cool.
Needs more power. What's next?
Triumph Stag.
I like this car. And
that's also to be defended just for its name alone.
Yes, but what does it look like?
What does it look like?
Yeah, I like this car.
Mustang. Okay, I'm just gonna come out and say it. It looks like an old BMW and an old Mustang had a baby. That's exactly what it looks like.
I like this car.
It's a very handsome little number. I have to say.
That's the problem with British sports cars. They look great, but they fall apart. Anyway, why is it on the list?
Triumph Stag, 1970. You could put all the names of all the British Leyland cars of the late 60s in a hat, and you'd be guaranteed to pull out a despicable, rotten-to-the-core mockery of a car.
Yeah, okay.
So, consider the Triumph Stag merely representative. It's like its classmates, it had great style, penned by Giovanni Michelotti. Ruined. What?
I said Michelotti.
Michelotti. Yeah, man, you get the Michelotti and a fucking you a fucking steamroller and
designed some things for Ferrari.
Oh wow, that's pretty impressive. Ruined by some half-hearted, half-witted, utterly temporized engineering.
Yeah.
To give the body structure greater stiffness, a T-bar connected to the roll hoop, to the windscreen, and the windows were framed in eye-catching chrome. The effect was to put the driver in a shiny aquarium. The Stag was lively and fun to drive as long as it ran. The 3.0 liter Triumph V8 was a monumental failure.
Yeah.
Engine that utterly refused to confine its combustion to the internal side. Oh, yes. Wow. Yeah. The timing chains broke. The aluminum heads warped like mad. The main bearings would seize, and the water pump would poop the bed. Kapow! Oh, that piston through the bonnet. That is a spot of bother.
Yes,
Well,
but it was fun when it ran.
we'll not hear the last of Triumph on this list. Handsome little number.
I feel so bad for shitting on Triumph because I really do like them.
3.0 V8, man. 3.0 V8. That's
Small.
British. That is British.
What's next?
Oh, boy.
Okay.
The Chrysler Imperial LeBaron two-door hardtop.
Oh, my God. Oh, I remember this car.
Hood on this beast of a fucking car. I like it. I like these big fuck you opulent cars. I like them.
Vulgar.
I know they are, and that's why I like them. I like the Cadillacs. I like this kind of shit.
That's why everyone hates us.
The hood ornament on these kind of cars needs to be a middle finger. That's what it needs to be.
Why was it horrible?
Deep breath. The glamorous Imperial Marquis, by the late 1960s, reduced to a trashy pseudo-luxury harlot walking the streets for its pimp, the Chrysler Corporation. By 1971, only the Imperial LeBaron was left, and it shared the monstrous slab-sided fuselage styling of corporate siblings like the Chrysler New Yorker and the Dodge Monaco. I like those New Yorkers. Appearing to have been honed from solid blocks of mediocrity, the Imperial LeBaron two-door is memorable for having some of the longest fenders in history. It was powered by Chrysler's silly big 440 cubic inch V8, measured over 19 feet long. The interior looked like a third world casino. Here we are approaching the nadir of American car building. Obese, under-engineered, horribly ugly. Or it would be the nadir, except for the abysmal 1980 Chrysler Imperial, which had an engine cursed by God himself. The Imperial name was finally overthrown in 1983.
This car is pretty much quintessentially American.
It is.
And I
like opulent two-door coupe, 19-foot long coupes. I like it.
I'm a European, so what's next?
I'm a fucking European.
I have nightmares about this fucking car. What's next?
The Ford Pinto.
It was a great car until it exploded. I mean, it was a shit car, but people bought it until it exploded.
One of the few cars I will not need to look up. I have been around many of these. They shoot horses, don't they? Well, this is fish in the barrel. Of course, the Pinto goes on the worst list, but not because it was particularly a bad car. Not particularly, but because it had a rather volatile nature. The car tended to erupt in flame in rear-end collisions.
Yes.
The Pinto is at the end of one of Autodom's most notorious paper trails, the Ford Pinto Memo, which ruthlessly calculates the cost of reinforcing the rear end, $121 million, versus the potential payout to victims, $50 million. Conclusion: let him burn. Nice, Ford. Very classy.
Yeah,
Ford.
That was fucking horrible.
And Ford is synonymous with classy, right? Nowadays.
No.
Next.
And I'm surprised Ford actually lived through that.
Well, they were already so they were going to live. They'll live through anything.
No, I mean, but the thing that saved Ford was the trucks, because trucks were huge, and what they would do is they would literally, like, you go to a Ford, like the wholesaler guys would go to a Ford dealership, park a truck and a Pinto, because everyone wanted the fucking trucks, and go, all right, you could have these trucks if you take the Pintos too.
And ugly. an ugly Jaguar.
Yeah, they exist. Which one is this? I don't.
Jaguar XKE V12 series, the third.
Oh yeah, they ruined this fucking. They ruined the
1974.
E-Type. Ruined
It looks like an old woman's boot.
They ruined the E-Type.
Yeah, it looks like an old church lady's boot.
You've seen the E-Type, right, from the 60s?
I love the E-Type from the 60s. It's a gorgeous car.
This.
The 1961 Jaguar E-Type was heavenly. A dead sexy 150-mile-per-hour supercar. A stiletto heel to the hair of any car-loving man. By 1974, it had morphed into this thing. In order to compensate for power-sapping emissions controls required in the U.S., the car's primary export market, Jaguar discontinued the reliable 4.2-liter 6 for an anchor heavy 5.3 V12. Wait, I got to wrap my head around that. Hold on.
It's not actually that big for a V, but it's still pretty big for a V12 when you think most of them will be.
What's killing me about that is 4.2 6-cylinder. You go up one variable for a fucking 12 valve. Jesus.
Anyway, keep.
Yeah, it's underpowered. Fuck you, Jaguar, U.S. regulations. Anyways, which was a total bitch to try to keep in tune and made that car noise heavy besides. Jaguar also discontinued the elegant fixed head coupe and offered the car only as a long wheelbase 2+2 or convertible. Imagine taking one of the world's most beautiful cars and taffy puller. Not finished running the lines, Jag plumped up the fenders, spoiling the smooth, aero-sleek contours of the original. The piece de la resistance. Jag affixed a hideous rubber bumpers, Dagmars really, in a lame attempt to meet the 5-mile-per-hour bumper standards, to which car enthusiasts can only say, "You bastards!"
Yeah, I
agree.
I literally cannot defend this thing.
I can't either. I am looking at an E-Type next to this thing, and there's just no way to defend it.
Let's move on before I start screaming.
So, hello, guys.
Oh my God.
Son of a bitch. You scared the fuck out of me.
Good. How's it going?
What the fuck?
You scared the fuck out of me.
I am dead now, thank you.
You gave me a heart attack.
All of a sudden I hear, "Hey guys, what's going on?"
I'm just hearing you guys go on and on about what? Bad cars?
How long have you been here?
For a while, I heard you guys ranting about the Ford Pinto, and I couldn't stop laughing.
Oh.
The worst, you know what? I think the worst offender so far is this Jaguar.
Jaguar.
It is the worst offender so far.
Jaguar, Scott.
I don't care how you are. No, shut up.
Hey, Eric.
The rest of the bad.
I'd like to ram. Yeah, I'd like to ram some of your glammets. I'd like to put some of your glammets on a Pinto and ram them from the rear.
Okay, cool.
What were you saying, Scott?
That sounded like a sexual advance, by the way.
Scott.
The rest of the cars on this list, they were just bad ideas.
They were bad. Well, some of them were even bad, but they didn't ruin a perfectly good mark like this.
Yes, exactly.
What's next?
Let me look it up.
We're having fun, Eric.
Yes, I know. You're both car enthusiasts.
You would be too if you were awesome.
For me, a car is just, it just needs to look good and it needs to work.
Well, this one,
work.
I have a very good feeling about this one for you, Eric.
Okay.
You need to look it up when I tell you what it is.
All right.
It looks drop dead amazing. It looks awesome.
What is it?
It is 80s defined.
Okay, let's hear it.
But it was made in 75.
Okay.
Bricklin SV1. The only Bricklin 1 ever sat in the cot on. The only brick. What is that noise?
I'm clapping.
Why?
You don't know. I know the history of this car. By the way, remember that Subaru 360 I showed you? The ugly ass tumor looking car?
Yeah.
The guy who made the Bricklin 1 imported that car into the States in the 50s. I guess you can thank him for getting Subaru started in America, but not with that car. Anyway, the Bricklin. I love this car.
I do
Not
too.
not for any sane reason. Just read the fucking.
But just look at it. Eric, did you look it up?
It sort of looks like the DeLorean from Back to the Future.
Kinda, sorta.
I love this car.
I was thinking more like if a Ferrari and a 80s Corvette had a baby. Anyways.
Yes, but you're gonna love this.
The only Bricklin I ever sat in caught on fire and burned to the axles. This is notably ironic, since the car's creator, the smooth-talking Malcolm Bricklin, didn't include an ashtray or lighter in the car to discourage smoking. Despite its hand-removing 100-pound gull-wing doors. Holy shit!
Yes.
The SV1 was supposedly to exemplify the safer car of the future. The name stands for Safety Vehicle Number 1.
Yep.
The bodies were made of brightly colored, dent-resistant plastic, like play school furniture.
Yes.
Another safety feature, incredible, the crust of the earth cooling slowness. As soon as I looked at it.
He wanted a fast car, but the only engine he can get was.
As soon as I looked at it, I knew it was a slow car. It just had that vibe.
Yes.
All those resin panels and compressible bumpers added hundreds of pounds to that, so that the emissions limited V8s could not handle.
Yep.
This thing couldn't outrun the Rose Bowl parade.
Nope.
Less than 3,000 of the wedgie coupes were built, but Malcolm Bricklin was far from through, as we'll see.
Oh yes, he later imported a. Well, Scott, you were alive in the '80s. You may remember this. The car that he imported. What's next?
Was 5.
Whatever. What's next? Don't argue with me.
I
like Malcolm Bricklin because he failed at everything, but he just kept trying.
Right? Why not?
There's a book you need to read about that, but anyway.
Oh, no. A Morgan.
Which one?
Morgan +8 propane.
Well, yeah.
Obviously, it's drop dead gorgeous. It's Morgan we're talking about.
So what was wrong with it? Read on, and you'll find out.
Eric, did you look up the car?
Yes, I saw the car you told me to look.
Screen sharing, motherfucker. Screen share. Why don't you
screen
share?
Give me a second, and I shall do this.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus. It's Christ.
Okay, Mr. Slave.
Mr. what?
Slave.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It's a South Park joke.
You do kind
of It's a South Park joke.
What?
Jesus Christ. All right.
Scott, has anyone ever told you you have a lisp?
I have a wisp.
You do have a lisp. Anyway, what about the Morgan?
Shut up. Do not. All right, Eric, can you see the screen share?
Yes.
Okay, that is the Morgan +8 propane. Beautiful car, is it not?
Yes.
The venerable, and I do mean venerable, Morgan Motor Company of Malvern, Warwickshire, has been making cars the old-fashioned way since it was radical and high-tech, with winged fenders, modern wooden frame bodies, and sliding pillar front suspensions. Morgan are mailed to us direct from 1935.
Yep.
But in the early 1970s, new U.S. emissions and safety requirements caused Morgan to pull out of the market. To rescue came Bill Fink, a San Francisco Moggyphile. What is that?
Just read it.
No, shut up. Moggyphile. No. Okay, fine. Shut up. And a dealer who managed to get the car certified by running its Buick Rover V8 engine on propane. For years, small numbers of these bouncy little roadsters had tanks of liquid propane hung perilously behind the rear bumper, and people gave the Pinto grief. That is not Morgan's fault. No,
but come on, the car does deserve a spot just because they said yes.
Well, because of that, yes.
But Scott, it is kind of Morgan's fault. They said yes. They could have just been.
They said yes to make money.
Yeah, but they didn't make any money.
Give me a second.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
This is more fun than I thought it would be.
Going to take like a few seconds longer for me to post the screen share. Okay. We are now on to the Triumph TR7 from 1975.
No. Triumph gets so much of a flogging. Okay, read it.
Let me look at this thing. It looks kind of, I would say, a three-way orgy happened here. A mid-range Ferrari fucked a Ford 1992 Ford Mustang Foxback, and also fucked a Chevy Cavalier from 1994. Ooh. And had a baby. That's what this thing looks like.
Well, that sounds very unattractive.
It's it depends. Some of these bodies are awesome. Some of them are very ugly. It just, what do you think, Eric?
Hold on, let me see. Looks kind of decent, I guess.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Like, for example, this blue one here. I like that.
Yeah.
I like the green one.
I like the green one too.
I like this blue one.
Yeah.
I do not like the yellow. I do not like the red. Anyways, let's go on. Back to the article. The shape of things to come quickly became the shape that came and went, and great cloud of good riddance. The doorstop-shaped TR7 and its rare V8-powered sibling TR8 were the last of Triumph sold in America, and among the last the company made before it folded its tents in 1984. The trouble was not necessarily the engineering, or even the peculiar design, which looked fit to split firewood. It was that the cars were so horribly made.
Yeah.
Triumph, British sports car. We get it. The thing that had more short circuits than a mixing board with a bong spilled on it. The carburetors had to be constantly romanced to stay in balance. Timing chains snapped. I noticed a trend with timing chains rather than belts. Anyways, oil and water pumps refused to pump, only suck. Just like your mom. The sunroof leaked, and the concealable headlights refused to open the peepers. One owner reports that the rear axle fell out. Can you imagine driving down the road and your fucking rear axle just falls out?
Hindhaugh had a problem with the Hillman Avenger, which is we would know it as the Plymouth Cricket. The connecting rods fell out of the engine.
That would be absolutely astounding. How does that happen? It was as if British Leyland's workers were trying to sabotage the country's balance of trade. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Triumph, of course, still make motorcycles, obviously.
Yeah. They did.
Yes, they do.
Copy.
What's next?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
Paste. Enter. Oh! Oh! No. I saw this recently
What is it?
in a car review, and it's awful.
What is it?
It's ugly. It's underpowered. Its materials are disgustingly cheap.
What is it?
For example, its rear view mirror, in order to get the darkened thing where you can't get blinded by traffic behind you at night.
Yes. Okay.
Instead of just flipping the switch, you just turned the whole mirror around.
And what car is this?
This car is the Trabant.
I love it. I love it. I
It's
want
ugly
one.
and stupid.
I want one.
This is the car that gave communism a bad name. Powered by a 2-stroke pollution generator that maxed out at an ear-splitting 18 horsepower. The Trabant was a hollow lie of a car constructed of recycled worthlessness. Actually, the body was made of a fiberglass like Duroplast, reinforced with recycled fibers like cotton and wood.
Yep.
This is a piece of shit.
I want it. I don't know why. I don't know why I love it.
A virtual antique when it was designed in the late 1950s. In the 1950s, the Trabant was East Germany's answer to the VW Beetle.
Yep.
A people's car. As if the people didn't have enough to worry about. Damn. Trabants smoked like an Iraqi oil fire. When they ran, you know what I would have said there instead? The Trabants smoked like a concentration camp furnace.
They were built at the former Auto Union headquarters, by the way, in Chemnitz.
When they ran at all, and often lacked even the most basic of amenities, like brake lights or turn signals. But the history has been kind to the Trabi. Thousands of East Germans drove their Trabants all over the border when the wall fell, which made it a kind of automotive liberator. More like automotive vibrator, am I right? Once across the border, the non-too-sentimental Ostdeutschlanders immediately abandoned their cars. Ich bin junk.
I understand it, shit. I like it, though. I can't tell you why I like it. I can't explain why I like it, but goddamn it, I like it.
Ew. Ew. Here's a name I wasn't expecting to see. Then again, they hand make these cars. That gives you a big clue. Can you guess?
No, just tell me. Go.
No. Guess. One guess.
Ferrari. I don't know.
Handmade.
I don't know.
Oh my God! It's oh my God! Eric,
What?
look at this fucking
Come back
car.
to me.
Oh,
What the hell is that?
What is
it
it?
look,
On the outside, it looks okay, but on the inside, what the fuck?
no, the outside is dumb, dude.
What is it, Scott?
It looks
Come on.
like a
And
Buick.
Martin gone.
It looks like a stretched out Buick LeSabre. It is awful. It's fucking awful. Oh, the interior I like. Let me look. I like the interior of this car.
You're surprised to see this car.
Okay, here we go. The Aston Martin Lagonda from 1976.
I'm not surprised to see this. Aston Martin, like, first of all, they don't always hand make the cars. Second of all, the Aston Martin was was pretty much they lived up the 70s. Someone would buy them, they would fail, they would sell them, someone would buy them, they'd fail. Yeah, they were basically up shit creek with not even a paddle. They didn't even have a boat.
So in the 70s, Aston Martin was struggling.
Yes, but it's not the first. I mean, they made the fucking Signet in the 2000s. But let's read about this car, shall we?
The Aston Martin Lagonda In the disco days of the 1970s, even supercars were cocaine thin. Meet the Aston Martin Lagonda, a four-door exotic that lived on dinner mints and hot water. Designed by A.M. Penman, William Towns. I had such a bad brain fart there. Undoubtedly wearing a very large cravat at the time. The Lagonda was a beautiful car as it resembled a pencil box.
Yeah.
Mechanically, it was a catastrophe. Aston Martin's Dunkirk. The company decided to build the Lagonda with a brace of cutting-edge, computer-driven electronics and cathode ray displays. Wow, this thing had CRTs in its fucking car. Wow.
70s.
Which would have been very impressive if any of them ever worked. NASA couldn't have built this car, much less the heirs to Joseph Lucas, the British electronics famous Prince of Darkness. Still, I'd kill to have one of these cars and the O-scoop and multimeter to fix it. I am just beside myself that this guy thinks it's pretty. Eric liked it.
I guess if you like...
I think the interior is great.
I guess if you want a pencil box.
Oh, Eric, look at the wagon. Look at that. Look at that.
That looks like a hearse.
It looks like a hearse that was flattened.
Which car is this?
The same one. It's a wagon version of the Lagonda.
Okay.
All right.
What's
Back
next?
to it. Give me a second. God. Oh, we're on to something really familiar. Really familiar to me.
Okay.
Screen share engaged. All right. 1976 Chevrolet Chevette.
Sorry, what were we saying? God, I just
Awful
car.
Look at it. Look at
Awful.
it.
It is awful. I cannot defend this car at all.
Look at it, Eric.
It is awful.
Look at it.
It's like if someone took the Pinto and said, too much horsepower.
Yeah, it doesn't look that good.
You know what's cracking me up are some of these sporty looking ones. Like, no, guys, no.
It's like if someone took the Pinto and said, that's too good. It's not shit enough.
The prototype one here isn't bad looking.
Let's read about it.
I included the Chevy Chevette only to note that even the most unloved and unlovely cars have their partisans. There are Pacer fan clubs and Yugo fan clubs. Yep. And if there is a Chevette fan club, let it begin with me. Oh, fuck this guy. My girlfriend in college had a diaper brown Chevette 3-door hatchback, as bare bones as an exhibit at the Natural History Museum. It had a 51 horsepower engine and a 4-speed manual transmission and not much else. It was loud. It was tiny, but we drove that car across the country 3 times. That's actually kind of impressive. And it never failed us. Once I got an 85-mile-per-hour speeding ticket in it.
How the fuck did you do it? It must have been going downhill.
It probably took an hour to get there, too. That was on the downslope of the Appalachians. But still. The last time I saw that Chevette, it was still plugging along via Condillo's old paint. It's not even worth talking about.
You know what? I'll give him that because I like the Trabant. So fuck you. Next.
What I will hand them is that this car made it across the country 3 times. That's 6,000 miles times 3.
Look. If you want a fucking economy car, it's not a bad car for what it is. I just would never drive it.
Yes, you would.
No, I drive a Trabant. Next car.
A even uglier hatchback. Look
Okay,
at that.
go.
Look at that. Eric, please tell me I'm right.
You're right.
That's awful.
What color is
God.
this?
This car is. We're back to AMC. The AMC Pacer from 1978.
Wow. One of my old punching bags.
It's a car from the guys that make The Walking Dead. Yeah, I know, bad joke.
It's the Goldfish Bowl, dude.
Okay.
Goldfish Bowl, dude.
Goldfish Bowl.
We saw the Goldfish Bowl earlier. Like literally
No,
ahead
this is
of
the
Dome.
Goldfish Bowl.
All right, let's read.
Yeah, but okay, let's read.
A recent poll by Haggerty Insurance asked enthusiasts to name the worst car design of all time. This glass-eyed bolus of dorkiness is the pathetic winner. Remember Richard Teague, designer of the amputated gremlin?
Yes.
Him again. But, come on, the Pacer. It's Wayne and Garth's Mirthmobile. For heaven's sake. I don't care. It's still ugly.
I didn't like Wayne's World.
You can't hate on that, according to this asshole. Indeed, my family owned a dark green Pacer with that Navajo blanket upholstery.
His family just owned like all
Cars.
the shitty cars in the world. He owned a fucking Corvair. He owned a Pacer. He dated a girl who owned a Chevette. He needs counseling.
Maybe he's also lying.
Eric. No.
What?
Anyway, keep reading.
Indeed, my family owned a dark green Pacer with that Navajo blanket upholstery, and it worked just fine until I drove it through a ditch. That'll have a bad effect on any car, my friend. After which, the heavy doors hung off their hinges like beagle ears. What I remember of this car is that in the summer, it was like being an ant under a mean kid's magnifying glass. The air conditioning was non-existent. You could actually see fumes of volatile petrochemicals outgassing from the plastic dash. Wayne, I feel woozy. What a terrible joke.
Shut up, Scott.
The next one, I don't know about this. I'm having a hard time wrapping my mind around. Actually, I'm not. Hold on. I think I know what this is.
Okay.
It's a Corvette. Okay.
Oh,
It's a Corvette.
God, I remember this car. Oh, the California?
It is.
Let's read it. Read it. This.
I like the way it looks.
No, Scott. No, I'm going to stop you there. Don't comment on it. Just read it.
Federal emissions requirements of the 1970s took a big neutering knife to American muscle cars, and no car bled more than the Corvette. The worst of it came in California. Dang hippie liberals! Where stricter state regs required that the barely adequate 350 cubic inch small block in the 1980 Corvette be replaced with a wholly inadequate 305 V8, putting out 180 horsepower of pure shame. On top of that, the California Corvette sucked its pitiful rivulet of horsepower through the straw of a torque-sapping 3-speed automatic. Ugh! Ugh! That gave the Corvette the very totem of hairy chest, disco machismo, acceleration comparable to a very hot Vespa. Those were the dark days, indeed. I agree. Now, looks-wise, fuck you, it's beautiful.
I don't care if it's beautiful. It offends me. It actually literally offends me.
I am too at a 305 V8 with only 180
horsepower.
80 horsepower. But what really offends me, 3-speed automatic. What the fuck?
Let's move on before I kill someone.
Ooh! Oh. Big name coming up.
Okay.
Shut up, dog.
What?
I heard a dog bark.
Oh, that was Charlie. What do you
Looks
want?
wise,
Yeah.
it's a Ferrari, okay?
Yeah.
That's what it
They
is.
made some shit Ferraris in the 70s.
This is not the 70s. This is 1980.
Whatever.
The Ferrari Mondial
Mondial.
1980.
Yeah. Okay. Let's read.
Even the legendary Italian sports car company whiffs once in a while. And the first Ferrari Mondial was,
Mondial.
well, I don't care, was a big red disaster. Based on the 308 chassis, this large and relatively heavy 2+2 coupe had a mere 214 horsepower on tap from its transversely mounted mid-engine V8. That's terrible for Ferrari. That's terrible.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say for Ferrari. And its transistor-based electronics had more bugs than a Barstow model rollaway. Eventually, every single system would fail.
Yep.
Not infrequently accompanied by the smell of burning wires.
I'm pretty sure they just assembled the plastic or the wires like randomly because no one could figure out how the hell they worked.
Well, this is the beginning of transistors, so
Yeah, but that had been going on since the early, at least the early 70s, basically.
not
And-
in such
Oh,
a
and
broad scale.
clutches would explode on those Ferraris.
The factory authorized service, meanwhile, was more like factory authorized extortion.
That's Ferrari for
That's Ferrari. Yeah, what the fuck? It hasn't helped that Mondial reputation was one of the cheap Ferraris within reach of reasonably successful orthodontists.
Yep.
Mondials were eventually got much better. They could hardly get worse. So that's why when I'm looking at them, some of these actually look halfway decent, while other ones are just embarrassing.
Yeah, a lot of times in the 70s Ferraris, the clutches would explode, and one tore off a woman's foot.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Way to go, Ferrari.
What's next?
Oh, man. Oh! We are into territory that you have already said you hate.
Go. What is it?
The Cadillac Fleetwood V864 from 1981.
What did I say? I hate
But I am not a fan already because, well, it has a coupe version, but their short wheelbase I don't like. Anyways, it is just the most drab Cadillac ever.
I've never really been a big fan of Cadillacs except for maybe 2 or 3 cars. So
These days, cylinder deactivation or variable displacement is relatively common. The 2008 Honda Accord V6 has it, for instance, and it's a beautiful idea. When the engine is running at light loads, it is logical to shut down unneeded cylinders to save fuel, like turning off lights in an unused room. But in 1981, when semiconductors and onboard computers were still in their infancy, variable displacement was a huge technical challenge.
yep.
GM deserves credit for trying, but the V864 was the Titanic of engine programs.
Yeah.
The cars jerked, bucked, stalled, made rude noises, and generally misbehaved until wild-eyed owners took the cars to have the system disconnected.
Yep.
For some, it was the last time they ever saw the inside of a Cadillac dealership because they got dead.
Wow. Or because they just fucking sold the car.
I do not need to share pictures of this next one. We're going to just jump right in.
What is it?
The DeLorean DMC-12.
I'm a fan of this car.
Me too.
I mean, totally irrationally. It was a shit car, but I'm a fan of it.
We are going to do this one, and I am going to bed.
Okay.
Automotive icon, snappy dresser, and FBI target John Z. DeLorean left the building in 2005, leaving behind 8,582 stainless steel DeLoreans and one-time traveling hot rod. Few car projects were more maledicted than the DMC-12. By the time Johnny Z got the factory in Northern Ireland up and moving, and what could possibly go wrong there?
During the troubles, yeah.
The losses were piling up fast. The car was heavy. Underpowered. The 2.8-liter Pugo V6 never had a chance. And overpriced. And DeLorean was having a few dramas of his own, resulting in one of law enforcement's more memorable hidden camera tableaus.
There's a great documentary about DeLorean on YouTube.
Former GM executive sitting in a hotel room with a suitcase of money, discussing the supply and demand of nose candy. The Giarno designed DMC-12 sure was cool looking, though. In August of this year, the Texas company that controls the rights to the name announced it would build a small number of new DMC-12s. How's that for time travel? Yeah, I saw that company, a documentary about them, and they're really, really cool. Like, yes, they should.
Yes.
They should absolutely. Not, I don't know when that documentary was made, but at the time of that documentary, the man had 1,000 doors left.
I'll look it up and see and message you about it. But yes, we hope you enjoyed this car-related program.
We should do more lists like this. We could finish this one off just some other time too.
Okay, I'll remind you. Well, yeah, I'm free whenever. I will see you later, I guess.
Eric?
Yes.
What do you think about the DeLorean before we go?
Very iconic.
Would you fuck a DeLorean?
No.
I would.
Great Scott!
Yes! And that's exactly what the car would say.
Buckminster Fuller. Sorry.
Buckminster Fuller. And
okay.
King Midget Model number 3.
King Midget Model number 3. I'll see you later, people.
And dude.